Hello everyone, Eldon Yoder here with Yoder's Farm, and it's time for Conversations number 7, and we are here today to talk about tomatoes, particularly hydroponic tomatoes and the variety that we grow, and kind of the life cycle that a tomato goes through here on our farm.
Good afternoon. I'm Delvin Yoder again at Yoder's Farm, standing in our hydroponic tomato greenhouse today. You know, this scene is kind of familiar to us and gets to be commonplace, but we realize a lot of folks maybe have no clues what goes into raising these tomatoes up to the size they are now. It's easy to see the fruit about ready to ripen. There's a whole lot happens before this point, you probably imagine, any of you that are gardeners. So we want to talk today some about the sequence of events. It starts with planting the seed until we pick the crop here in just a week or two. Of course, with any crop, the planting is the beginning stages. You don't start by just throwing seed in the ground. Even so, there's a long stretch, a lot of work between this little seed that we plant in these 50-cell trays and hope for fruit about 4 months later. So we got the seeds all carefully tucked into those 50-cell trays with potting soil. Seeds have enough nutrients in them, they need no fertilization initially. Water them well, and keep them at about 68 degrees on a heat mat. And don't you know, about a week, 10 days later, here they come starting to pop up. That's the point where we start to put some light on the plants, either in one of the greenhouses, some filtered light, or we use artificial light sometimes depending on the time of year. They start to grow. First little double-winged leaves pop out. Those are cotyledons. No fertilization yet. Once they start to get some true leaves, we begin with a weak fertilizer solution to keep them growing. A little bit of fertilizer in the potting soil, but not a whole lot. So our plan is at about 6 to 7 weeks, once we have a good root ball on the bottom of that plant, and the plant is maybe 4 to 5 inches tall, that's time to be thinking about transplanting into our potting soil, or actually coconut fiber growing medium in our greenhouses. Much less work. We can automate the system of feeding. So at about 6 to 7, 8 weeks, depending how the plants have grown, we're back into the greenhouse, putting these plants into the individual pots where they can start to put those roots down. Don't want to delay it too long. You want the roots to be ready to go and just fill that pot up to be able to take up the nutrients as we feed them with our hydroponic system. Our automated feeding system here is actually fairly simple. Modern greenhouses, and there are some that cover acres and acres of ground, but ours is a little more dated, but it is sophisticated enough that it measures light from the sun and takes those moles, or measures of light that on a sunny day would keep this system feeding frequently, and on a cloudy day, conversely, feeds it very few times. That lets our plants, as photosynthesis is going on and uptake of water happens, lets that plant keep some oxygen down there around the roots. If you'd overfeed the plant, it would stay too wet, apt to get root rot and some soil diseases. A system that's based on the amount of sunlight and photosynthesis works out the best for the plant, and obviously we're not wasting fertilizer as well. Feeding hydroponically as opposed to growing in soil, we don't have the luxury of a reserve of nutrients in the soil, so we're responsible, if we want to grow produce, grow fruit, to provide every bit of nutrients that the plant needs. We do that with a soluble fertilizer. There's ways to add in little trace nutrients of one type or another. We've talked before about tissue samples and how that helps us to determine exactly what the plant needs. A lot of it though, when I walk in the greenhouse, I'm looking at the plants, I'm watching for vine thickness. Nitrogen levels need to be up there to keep the plant looking green and healthy. Magnesium keeps our fruit sizing up and of good quality. Potassium is as well involved there. everything in balance actually, and I don't pretend to know all of that, but we have some good folks we can call on when we do hit a bump in the road if we need help. So we've got our plants growing good, they're looking good. Young plants tend to be that way. They're kind of like children, just feed them whatever and they'll grow. They're buffet feeders. But as the plant grows and starts to set fruit, pollination has to happen before setting fruit can start. We actually put bumblebees in our greenhouse during the darker months of winter to help with pollination. Once it's warm and the shutters are open, the fans are running, airflow takes care of pollination for us. But there are weekly chores we need to do here. These vines are stretching up. You might imagine as they're setting fruit on the lower trusses and on up to blooms at the upper end, that vine is getting heavier and heavier and stretching out. We like to keep about a 5-foot growing tip from flower down to fruit. So we're trussing that plant up. We're clipping the vine to the twine, connected up to the support system. The trusses, as they get about walnut size, we need to put a hook on there, like you see here on the twine, to support that truss up. Otherwise it'll kink over and the nutrient flow will stop. So there's lots of maintenance happening. There's bottom leaves coming off as this plant stretches. We are cluster pruning occasionally. We like to only have 4 to 5 tomatoes on a cluster. As the plant gets longer, it's like sucking through a straw. The longer it gets, the more carefully you have to maintain everything in balance. And believe me, at the end of the season, we take out 20 to 25 foot long vines that this plant has been sipping the nutrients through. So it's pretty impressive and a lot of work to clean out when you're done with the season. So we've been tending these plants for about 4 months. Actually, this particular crop, the seeds were planted on the 15th of September 2015. Here we are through the long dark days of winter, actually short dark days of winter, and we're here at the end of February and we're beginning to pick fruit from this greenhouse. But we're looking for a dark green tomato to begin to turn a milky white. And then don't you know, you start seeing some hints of pink and red coming up there, especially on the western side of the greenhouse where that evening sun comes in and warms them up. And after a while, and we're all looking for the first one, but here we see a nice pink tomato coming on, and it looks a little like this. And it's been a long wait, but they're mighty tasty, and somebody's going to have a treat.
The light is fading fast, so I've moved over to the edge of the greenhouse to get the last bit of light coming in the side of the greenhouse over here. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. We do have tomatoes available right now, and we're moving into spring season, and eventually we will be opening the Pick Your Own strawberry patch. For all the details for tomatoes, strawberries, and the corn maze stuff this fall, head over to yodersfarm.com. and you should be able to find everything you need there. If not, feel free to get in touch with us and we will try to help you get any answers you need. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week. And today we're going to be talking with Dad about how the life cycle Today we're going to be talking about hydroponic tomatoes.
Like now. In addition, we're using these hooks to support the truss. Hello, Yoders.
Congratulations, you've been selected to receive a free